I'd love to tell you that Donald Trump can't stop talking about his cognitive decline, but the reality is much worse. Donald Trump cannot stop screaming, throwing tantrums, and attacking anyone who dares to question the fact that his brain is falling apart. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now that is exactly what we just witnessed. He was in a room full of hand-picked stooges who usually clap like scenes at every word he says, but even they were stunned into total silence as Donald Trump suffered a complete mental meltdown right in front of them. What we saw was more than just a stumble, it was a stroke out, a freak out, and a total cognitive collapse. And in the middle of this chaos, Trump made a very strange admission about the actual nature of these cognitive tests he's so obsessed with. This was supposed to be a speech about small businesses, but within minutes, it devolved into a desperate defense of his own broken brain. We have a mountain of evidence to get through today, but it all starts with one of the primary reasons Trump is so rattled right now: the fact that his war on Iran is becoming historically unpopular. That is where we need to start, right before we dive into the meltdown and the total collapse of the man in the Oval Office.
When you get only bad press, it's fake press. They give me fake polls. They tell me about polls and this. You know, it's interesting. They did a poll on the war with Iran, and they said only 32% of the people like it. Well, I don't like it, and I don't like war at all, but we're equipped better than it. We have the greatest military in the world. You saw what happened with Venezuela. You see what happens with everything. But they said 32% of the people are against President Trump. Well, when you explain it, like, is it okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon? It wouldn't be 32%. But even if you said that, there'd be a 32% because the polls are fake. I mean, they're totally fake. And when you take a look at what's really going on, the other day I made a speech in a great Florida senior citizens community, and I made another one at the Kravis Center, 2 in one day. It was wonderful. I go out and
Oh, of course, the polls are fake. Everything is fake if it's mean to the dear leader or if it undermines his ego. That's what Donald Trump wants you to believe. He wants you to think any data showing his failure is just garbage that doesn't deserve your attention. But look at the reality today. The war has reignited. There is more fighting in the Strait of Hormuz, and Donald Trump has zero control over any of it. That is the real reason he's out here freaking out about his cognitive state. Because the feeling of his war falling apart is the exact same feeling he gets when his brain starts to fail him. Donald Trump feels weak. He feels ineffective. He feels like he has lost the wheel. So naturally, he lashes out at the press for even mentioning the failure of this war. In his mind, their coverage isn't just a critique of policy, it's a direct attack on his personal strength. And speaking of strength, it was on full display when he started rambling about how, with the stroke of a pen, he could have no employment. Honestly, I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Just listen to him fumble and trip over his own words right here.
jobs. And, you know, I could, with one swipe of the pen, I could say, let's have no employment, and I'll hire 1 million people or 2 million people. I say, we just hired 1 million people, and we have absolutely no employment. And that's what they would do. They'd have bad numbers coming up, so they'd hire a couple of 100,000 people, and the numbers would look okay. With me, it's the exact opposite. We terminate a lot of federal jobs that are unnecessary. And they don't like me for doing it, but a year later, they like me because they end up having a much better job, oftentimes in a place where they'd much rather live. You know, they go to the place that they want to go. They're not stuck in Washington or someplace else. And
let's be honest, this is clearly a man who is not well. He's sick. His brain simply isn't functioning at a normal level. Trump was trying to claim he could eliminate unemployment, and instead, he accidentally said he'd get rid of employment. I mean, talk about a Freudian slip. And what exactly is the brag here? Donald Trump is literally boasting about the fact that he allowed Elon Musk to take over the government and start deleting essential public sector jobs. Since when is letting a billionaire gut the government a flex? We actually need those important government roles, and we should want regular people to be able to earn a living wage doing that work. But in Trump's world, everything is just a toy for his billionaire donors. This is all just a symptom of Trump's total confusion. He's trying so hard to play the big, strong, tough guy in front of these business leaders. He's sitting there claiming, well, I did such a legendary job with the economy that even my critics love me now, which of course is a total lie. He's desperate to sell that narrative because he knows his current war is absolutely nuking every sector of our economy. He feels the walls closing in, he feels weak, and that is exactly why he's spiraling over his cognitive health. It's the only thing he has left to defend. And that defense completely fell apart during this absolute stroke out right here.
I said, so what do you think, Ronnie? They call me a genius who's going to destroy the country. Then they said, he's a genius who's taken over the entire world. Then they said, he's a total moron. This guy is so stupid. And then, so whenever I hear that one, I say, let's take the cognitive test. But I really think it would be a great.
Alright, let's do a little psychological deep dive here. Because what Donald Trump just admitted to that room full of confused, silent people is that he only takes these cognitive tests when people start saying he sounds stupid. Now, wait a second, that doesn't even make sense. Trump usually claims he takes these tests during routine doctor's visits. So, which is it? Is he feeling the massive pressure of the public talking about his mental decline and that's why he's taking them? I have two theories on this. One I think is more likely than the other, but honestly, they could both be true at the same time. Theory number one, Donald Trump keeps screaming about these tests because he wants you to think it's his idea to take them. He wants to look like a stable genius who is just checking in on himself. But in reality, his doctors are likely forcing these tests on him every single time he's in the room just to measure how much worse his cognitive state is getting. He's not just deciding on a whim to fly over to Walter Reed on a Tuesday to bang out a quick 15-minute exam. They are actively measuring his cognitive collapse. Theory number two, and this one comes from my friend Jennifer Welch, is that Donald Trump, with all the time he spends doom scrolling on Truth Social and Twitter, probably came across one of those test your IQ pop-up ads. He probably took it, scored like an 84, and it absolutely broke him. Ever since he failed that online test, he's been furious. He keeps bringing up cognitive tests as if they are IQ tests because it's much easier for a doctor to tell him, yes Donald, your brain isn't 100% applesauce, than it is for him to score highly on an actual intelligence exam. He is clearly flunking the test of basic logic and he's projecting that anger over his own stupidity by lashing out and attacking Barack Obama.
Got to be pretty sharp. But every time, so I've taken 3. No president, think of this, has ever taken 1. How do you think Biden would have done? I don't think, he might not have gotten that first question right. Anyway, and Obama would have done poorly. They would have done very poorly. But I think you should have it. As soon as they said that, they say, it's unconstitutional. And I said, why? They say it's unconstitutional to give a cognitive test like that. But Rick, I do it anytime they start getting a little sassy. And you know, it quiets them down for almost a year when they hear the result. One doctor said, it's the first time I've ever seen anyone get all questions right. That's a doctor who does this stuff for a living. And I did it 3 times. So I don't know. I think I'm done with those days. I'm tired of taking that test.
So the screaming stroke out just keeps going. The freak out is non-stop. He's out there claiming, oh, Barack Obama would have done terribly. He would have failed the cognitive test. Okay, first of all, no one is actually pushing back on the idea that a president should take a cognitive exam. That right there is the tell from Donald Trump. That is a massive admission of his own fear. He's out here trying to frame it like, oh, nobody wants these exams to be a thing. Actually, Donald, we do. Jamie Raskin is literally working on legislation right now to have an independent team of physicians regularly monitor the cognitive and physical state of the president. We all support that. No one is saying it's unconstitutional. But Donald Trump is trying to tell his crowd that they can't actually make you do it. He's trying to convince his followers that taking the test is a choice because he is terrified of being forced to take one where he doesn't control the doctors. He does not want the results of his cognitive decline and certainly not an actual IQ test to ever be made public. And why is he so desperate to stay in that office? Because he honestly believes the presidency is the only thing keeping him alive and out of a courtroom. It all comes back to his survival, which is exactly why he made this insane comment right here.
Actually, it'll be a very important trip. We provided 100% expensing and bonus depreciation, which is tremendous. One of the biggest things that you have. I mean, it's people have no idea how big that is. The businesses do. So that businesses can deduct 100% of the cost of new facilities, equipment, and capital investment in the first year. It used to take 38 years of deduction. Now you get it done in one. You can take one so you can expand. I think that's what made us so successful in the first term, but now we have it for a 10-year period. So you have it for a while. I really was going to make it for a 1-year period. That would mean you spend all your money immediately. Now, unfortunately, I gave you too much time. I was sort of against that. I said, let's do it for a shorter period of time, but we did it. It's the right thing. And this way, when I get out of office in, let's say, 8 or 9 years from now, I'll be able to use it. I'll be able to use it myself.
Well, doesn't that just make us all feel great? The prospect of 8 or 9 more years of Donald Trump. Let's be brutally honest about this. Donald Trump has absolutely no intention of ever leaving the White House. Whether it's because he's raking in a fortune of the presidency or because he's convinced the office is the only thing keeping him alive and out of a courtroom, he is going to do everything in his power to stay. And we are seeing the groundwork for this power grab being laid right now. Republicans are literally cancelling elections across the country. Look at what's happening in Louisiana. They've stopped sending out ballots under an emergency order from the governor just so they can redraw the maps. Their goal is clear. They want to ensure there is zero proportional representation for Black Americans in that state. They are rigging the system in real time to protect their power. This is the reality of the country under Donald Trump. He is desperate, he is flailing, and he's trying to manufacture every excuse imaginable to justify his grip on power. But here's the problem for him. Those excuses don't sound good anymore. They sound like the desperate ramblings of a man who knows he's losing control.
Except everybody was wrong. They thought that energy would be at $300, right? $300 a barrel, and it's like at 100. And I think going down, and I see it going down very substantially when this is over, Chris. And I think very rapidly too, at levels that you've never seen, because there's a lot of energy out there. Of ships all over the world that are loaded up with it. They can't do much with it because they got kidnapped by a pretty evil place. But we're taking care of it. We have Administrator Kelly Loeffler, who's incredible.
Donald Trump is actually out here claiming that because oil isn't at $300 a barrel yet, we should all be jumping for joy. Are you kidding me? Prices are going up, Donald. They aren't getting cheaper. And with the fighting intensifying in the strait today, it's only going to get worse. But sure, let's listen to Trump make these delusional claims.
We have a stock market that hit even with this military operation, call it whatever you want. We can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. We hit all new highs, and I said we have to take care of business because we can't let that happen. So we did a little detour, and it's working out very nicely. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. They have no radar. They have no nothing. They have no leaders, actually. The leaders happen to be gone also. But can't let them have a nuclear weapon, or you'd have problems like nobody would believe. And it's going very well.
He's literally calling a massive military operation a little detour. He's bragging that he took care of business because we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. He's standing there laughing, saying they have no Navy, no Air Force, no radar, even joking that they have no leaders left. He says it's all working out very nicely. Nice? A little detour? Let's be very clear. This war is not a detour. We have poured hundreds of billions of dollars into this conflict. Money that is being used to drive up your gas prices, kill innocent civilians, and sacrifice American service members. This is a catastrophe, not a detour. It's a disaster that is costing Donald Trump his presidency in real time. That is the real reason he's melting down. And that is why we are going to keep calling out these lies every single day. If you want to support this work and help us keep the pressure on, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like on this video. If you're one of the real ones who stuck around until the very end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Also, if you can, consider donating to Graham Plattner at the link below to support the ground level work being done. Keep on fighting, y'all. Do not let them silence you. I'm Liam Prescott, and I'll see you soon.